and many other guys, like it's apparently.
Unlock your iPhone first.
What the fuck, Siri?
No,
Alright, start the outro again.
no.
What's going on, legend, and welcome back to the Barbells and Burgers YouTube channel. Angus here, and super stoked to be today dropping some, well, pretty sick, inspiring body transformation action on you today with my boy Andrew. So Andrew is a dude who I've recently just finished up my online coaching with. He's been an amazing client as part of my online Alpha Male Mastery coaching program. So we've been working together for just over 6 months, and Andrew has been amazing. Reason being is because, well, he turns 50 this week coming, and he has basically been able to prove so many people wrong, which is the fact that, well, apparently you can't lean down while building muscle at the same time. That's exactly the case which we've been able to achieve with Andrew. You see, Andrew was someone who got injured a while back, and that was something that fucked up his metabolism, his mobility, his self-belief, and he was a lost, many would deem him as a lost cause. So I came and aligned myself to him because he convinced me of the fact that he wasn't willing to stay where he was. He just needed someone to basically educate him and alongside themselves with him so that he could just be taken from A to B. So through the course of obviously us working together, we combined flexible dieting, combined with strength training, working on his mobility and a big focus on personal development. Andrew hasn't only been able to lose 8 kilos over this time frame, but he's packed on some serious muscle. He's built a fucking six pack, and is an entirely new man. So over these coming minutes, what you're going to see is an epic chat with myself and Andrew. We're going to be kind of uncovering where he was, his struggles before we started working together, some of his big sick learnings that have enabled him to be able to get so much value out of this process and get amazing results, and kind of uncover where he is now, so that way he can hopefully help and inspire you in your journey. Awesome. So Andrew, the main man, thanks so much for jumping on with this chat with me today. It's going to be really, really cool to uncover some of your journey and, I guess really inspire guys out there who are tuning into this, who, feel like they're kind of lost amongst the big bubble that is fat loss and trying to get lean and strong and that sort of thing. So props to you, brother. You've crushed these last several months this year in 2018. And, good to have you on, man. How are you doing?
Good, great. Thank you very much.
Good,
thank you very much for your good advice. It's come a long way from where I started. I was on the wrong page, and you set me straight with some really good foundational, training advice, and it's probably saved me a packet on wasting money on a lot of trashy food products.
Oh yeah, that's a big one, isn't it, bro? Yeah. So, my man, let's kick off with you. Why don't you set the the tone for sharing with the guys, kind of like where you were at before you and I crossed paths.
Yeah.
What you were doing in terms of trying to drop body weight and get strong and stuff like that, what your relationship with food was like, what you were doing with your training, and kind of just, set the scene for what you were going through, bro.
Well, what had happened is in about October, I got hit by a car. I was on the side of the road, and this car coming around a roundabout, instead of nice and wide at high speed, it just cut off straight into the gutter and just smashed me, and then kept going, and I was concussed and crushed hip, and so I spent about 7 weeks in bed, and at 49 years old, just lying in bed there and not being able to sleep and just concussed. I put on a lot of weight, and all my muscles just wasted away. So I went from where I might have been able to do, I don't know, say 15, 16 pull-ups to where I could only do 2.
Wow.
And in the first day out from that, I went, right, I can stand up now. I'm going to go to the end of the street and back. Well, I made it to the gate, barely made it back to the door. So I was in a pretty bad way, and I was pretty freaked out. It's like, wow, I've lost my health. I was like an old man, and I thought, shit. So I got to get going. It was enough of a scare. I knew that sedentary kills you, because there I was. I'd been sedentary for 7 weeks, and I'd just gone backwards, and I just knew sedentary is the centre of all, deathly things. Whether it's putting on a lot of fat, muscle wastage, those heart attacks, or other diseases that people are getting. It's at the centre of it. So I started exercising, and I started in reasonably light. But what I did is I cut back on how much I ate, and I had a really small diet, and it got really small because I've been lying in bed the whole time. My metabolic rate was low. I was probably cold a lot of the time, and so I might have been around 1,000, 1,200 calories, but I didn't know that didn't have the knowledge that upping the calories was going to help, as I was to get the to get the metabolic rate going, to recover faster and grow muscle and all of that. And so I didn't have a clue really about that. And I probably started into it gently, like the way I should, gearing up into it. And, you know, just trying to do body weight, see that I could do some press ups and just gearing into it. And, but then when I looked you up and found you, Angus, you said, okay, well, let's see, what are you eating? And you went, my goodness, let's put another, 1,100 calories on that. And I said, oh, why don't I get fat? And you said, no, it's probably about right. We'll gauge it because you weigh each day. You can't manage it if you're not measuring it. So we did that, and pretty much, I had more energy. I was warmer, and I didn't put on weight. I actually started to lose weight. My arms were getting bigger, and the program you gave me, pretty early on into it, I went, wow, 5 days a week, and I'm hitting the same muscle a lot of times. Gee, I don't know if I can do this, Angus. Am I a bit too old for this? And you said, oh, you should be right. We can always, double check, adjust a little bit, but it's probably about right. And I found I could do it, and my strength doubled. So I was burning fat and putting on muscle. And in fact, when I look back now to that period, I made my biggest gains through the training that you gave me, and it just turned things around. And it was a pleasure. It was like I had it up here from a background in sport to push myself, and I had a lot on my plate. So I just got up at 4:30 and made the time and did the workouts. And it was great.
That's awesome. So you were roughly at about 84 kgs from memory.
About 85 at the time. When I started, though, back in December, I was about 89 at the beginning. So when we started, I was probably 86 and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We got me down, like, I don't know whether
definitely.
But my arms were getting a lot bigger, and I was burning fat. There's no two ways about it.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
I started out with a pot belly. That's long gone.
I remember, yeah. Because a lot of
I tell you, it's a joy to be able to eat more food. I mean, one of the great joys in life is food, and to be able to have more of it, know that you're still burning fat. It's great.
It's awesome. It's kind of like guys are just like, oh, I love food, but I also want to be lean and strong. So it's like essentially being able to achieve both, so that you're happy throughout your process of progression.
The other side of it was what I was eating. I was thinking, I probably just need to eat a lot of veg and a lot of meat, and maybe what expensive pills do I need to take and all of that. And you're like, no, mate, calories are calories, and whilst there's some fine tuning, the guts of it is how much you burn versus how much calories you're taking. That's the macro level. That's the main meat and potatoes of it.
That's the meat and potatoes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we sort of worked on it on that, and I found that I could forget about things like clean eating. I could eat some of the things I want. If I was in a hurry, I'd just go get some Maccas.
Yeah.
If you're burning the calories working out hard, you're just gonna burn that stuff off anyway. And there's some good protein in there. And so if you go to health courses and PT courses, they're all politically correct. Can't be seen going to Maccas, and it's like, stuff that. I'm making better gains than you guys.
Exactly.
And yeah, and I'm enjoying my food.
Exactly. So, that's a big missing gap for guys, isn't it? It's like a lot of us want to be able to, be losing body fat and be able to be building muscle and stuff like that. And it's been thought that you can't achieve them both at the same time, that it needs to be just cut, and then you go to bulk, and you cut and bulk and cut and bulk. But one of the big things that was awesome for you was that, and this is something that I knew in the back of my head could happen. I don't think you knew, because obviously this wasn't knowledge to you at the time, but if someone's intake is high enough and their training is structured well, there's no reason why they can't be loading their muscles for stress in a good way, and therefore making gains there. But then because they're eating enough, this then allows the body to, smash up what's called calorie partitioning a lot better, which is all these extra calories that are coming in being utilized to be able to add muscle tissue rather than getting stored for fat tissue, which is typically what happens in most guys. So yeah, mate, it's been awesome to see. So we've been able to lose that gut. We've been able to really lean you out nicely. As you said, getting your strongest since as well, and that's testament to focusing on strength training, and then you kind of doing your cardio and stuff like that on the side as part of recovery and relevant to your own personal goals. What do you think for yourself has been like in terms of obviously your relationship with food has changed a lot, as you said, like there's no more clean eating, seeing food is good or bad anymore. It's kind of like I've got my macros and calories, what do I want to eat today, and when do I want to eat it to meet my calories and stuff. What do you think has been some of the most valuable, I guess, pieces of information or knowledge that you've gained, or even just the experience as a whole over these past months of working together, mate? What's been most valuable for you, do you think, that's really helped you to, I guess, achieve the gains that you've achieved?
Well, I don't know if I can put it down to one thing, but there's a combination of key things.
Yeah.
I started having enough water. I mean, I was having things like getting constipated. That was making me keep on weight. Having enough water was going to then help the recovery because you're getting enough water to your muscles so that the whatever nutrients are there are going to flow through well, and you're flushing out toxins. So having enough water, you were getting me there doing things like deadlifts, squats, leg press, these heavy weight exercises. Heavy walking lunges, these sort of big heavy combination free weight, most of them exercises, is getting your hormones going again. So from being sedentary and at my age, I was it's just like some really old man. And then I started doing that. I felt energy, and I could feel the power, which would have been like testosterone, human growth hormone, starting to charge through me, and you just got you really push it, and you'd feel good. So up in the calories, the water, getting out there regularly, you had a sweet spot in the training where you were getting enough on this muscle to break it down a little bit, but then not so much that it could then repair, and you could work out that muscle, maybe times a week or something, and actually recover. Where like I was trying programs before that, which I just tried out before I started yours, and they were like probably some steroid using bodybuilders. Well, it was some steroid using bodybuilders program he had made for people, which really only worked for steroid takers, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
And they'd have 35 sets on one muscle group, and you just blast that muscle away, and it wouldn't recover for a week.
Yeah. And
you weren't getting the same gains. So you came up with training that I hadn't seen, and I thought, wow, is this really going to work? I wonder. And I just went, look, I'll give it everything. I'll give it a try. And I was finding some of the exercises I was doubling in strength, in a short time. I was just like, wow, So I started feeling like a young man again. And, I literally was doing things like I'd go on an erg row and I'd beat these younger guys. I was getting fit at the same time. You gave me a really good burner session at the end of the week, because I said, look, Angus, I like a bit of fitness with the heart and lung too. Yeah. You gave me a really good one at the end of the week where, you just blasted it through, and that helps the fat loss, helps get your heart and lungs working hard, increases the mitochondria, in your blood, so that you can recover faster, so that as an older man you can get a good pump. And so that worked really well. And so you don't have to go for a run or a bike ride or something to do that. You can do it with the weights. Yeah. Although it can be quite beneficial to go for a walk in the afternoon to just get the lactic acid out and stuff too. But so all of these things, these were the main things. Having a really intelligent program that hit that sweet spot that worked for you. Someone who knew how to say, well, your weight and where you're at, this is the calories you need to target, and getting the water up, getting in these heavy, strength gaining exercises, getting the hormones going as you're older, just makes you younger again. I went from feeling like an 80-year-old to, kicking ass in some competitive exercise against, athletes in their 20s. So
it's huge,
with things I was doing on the side where occasionally I'd go out and we'd do some shuttle sprints, or we'd do, one arm row competition with dumbbell, or we'd do, the erg rower in the gym and see who could do the most, for 500 meters, and I was beating them, and I was only like 3 months into this, and that was like rapid progression from, from rehabilitation, like I said, walking to the gate and back, to actually being in pretty good shape.
That's so good, man. And one of the biggest, stories a lot of guys hold on to is that their metabolism is shit and that it can't be fixed and that it's only going to get worse as we get older. But it's like, as you've experienced, your metabolism is only shit relevant to your lifestyle choices, and because we got you lifestyle choices, we were able to increase it through progressive overload with your training and learning how to eat,
plus upping the calories to match it.
Yeah,
if you don't, your body's going to go starvation mode, and it'll look it back. Just getting that right combo together.
Yeah, and
that's what you gave me.
Yeah, because what's been essential here is it's like, for those of you tuning in, Andrew obviously was doing fairly well at being able to make food work for him in the area of feeling good, because all we've got to do is just have a decent amount of quality food coming in, and we can feel pretty good. But what Andrew made the mistake in was going too low in his calories, and therefore he wasn't winning the battle, which was controlling how he looks. So one of the big things that we did to obviously overcome that was getting him to eat enough, and we only adjusted his calories like twice. His calories stayed very, very high throughout the whole time, and the reason for that was because he was making consistent progression with his training. So it's like, if you're training at the gym and you're just winging it and hoping that what you're doing is right, and you're just jumping from exercise to exercise based on what you've seen online, that's not going to get you anywhere. With Andrew, obviously what we dialed in on was compound lifts, as he mentioned, so squats, bench, deadlifts, all these sort of big ones that use a lot of muscle fibers to do a repetition, and then focusing on getting him to move more weight with those exercises, just like he saw me doing. Because some of the times he questioned it, was like, I don't know about this, as he said, but he saw my gains because obviously, I live and breathe what it is that I coach my guys to do, and that obviously cemented security with him doing it and knowing that it was on point. And then therefore progression. Hey, mate.
Angus is the product of the product. I mean, this last year, the strength gains and the weight gain, lean muscle gain that you made just gives great confidence that, that the approach you're using is working. Another thing that's been foundational here that I must say was that you really believe and work in that form right. Yeah, sure, someone might throw in the end a bit of cheat set or whatever right at the end, but when you got the form right, you're not going to injure yourself. And some of your programs, and they're like, gee, I feel like lifting it a bit faster or come down size so I can get a bit more weight, and hit the reps, and it was like that temptation, and I was like, no, and I'd hold myself back and go, I took that essentially because I warmed me out a bit quicker. But in the end, when I did that, I found that my gains were better, and that I wasn't getting injured and sore. I'd get bombed, but that was it.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting injuries and soreness. I remember, I used to do workouts, a decade ago, and I'd smash it out, and I'd do drop set, and I'd just keep going, but I'd start chucking the weight around, and then it's like, getting bursitis in my shoulder. I've got to get a steroid injection. It's like really sore, and stuff like that, and I was getting injuries, and I was getting hold-ups, and I wasn't making the same gain. And so I haven't seen anyone who is more of a almost like spiritually aligned with getting that weight through really good form and getting that eccentric and concentric working at a certain rate for the exercise for where you're at in your progression. And you live that, and that's how you get the gains, is having the patience to do it right and see the gains come, rather than like, I could just flip this up and lift a higher weight today, and then what? Injury or no real gains. So getting the strength throughout the range.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that, and I learned a lot more about form on exercises, that mind muscle connection, by working it correctly through the range with the suggestions and advice you gave. And in watching some of the ones where you were advising other people through your Facebook examples, and where you give them some feedback.
Yeah.
And so that was really good. Because if you can avoid the injuries, well, you can just keep going. You can keep making gains.
Because an often overlooked component of people's training is that they've got no concept of tempo. So this is what Andrew's talking about here. So it's like, obviously range of motion is important. If you're not taking a muscle from its fully concentric, so shortened position through to its full eccentric, well then it's just like you're someone that's doing partial reps and just YOLO throwing weight around. You're never going to make any gains. Of course, you could be chasing the pump and stuff like that. Just like Arnie says, it's better than sex, and that's because we've got all that glycogen and water going to the target muscle fibers. But if you're not lifting safely and increasing weight gradually and giving your muscles more stress and load and that sort of stuff, we're never going to grow. And obviously, as Andrew's learned as well, through manipulating calories, there's no reason why you can't be adding muscle tissue while staying lean, or of course, while maintaining muscle while getting absolutely shredded through learning how to manipulate calories properly. So in other words, just eating healthy isn't good enough to be able to control building lean aesthetics. Eating healthy is great for, you know, being able to control how you feel and stuff like that, but to really step up and learn how to take control of how you look and your muscle and your fat amount and stuff like that, learning how calories works and energy and stuff like that is absolutely essential, and that's what Andrew has excelled in. So my man Andrew, what I'd love to ask you is a bit of an interesting question. So if you could, say for example, think about where you were a decade ago, right? Like obviously you're someone who's 49 and is absolutely crushed at this age. Many people would think that if they're at that age that they're a lost cause with being able to achieve results like you have. If you could kind of like give your past self 10 years younger, so the 39-year-old version of you or the 29-year-old version of you, if you could give that version of Andrew some key pieces of advice, what would you tell him?
Well, I've got to say, I look back then, that was a time when I was working out. I had a little bit more spare time in my life, and I was quite strong at that time, but I'd been inconsistent throughout my life. I'd trained and then stopped, and then trained and then stopped.
On and off, stop and start.
Yeah, and so the thing is that I'm not looking back now. The scare I had about being sedentary, it's like, you know, I think a lot of people respond with shock to their system when they see the truth and see, you know, pain is a powerful motivator. The pain of seeing, you know, myself with a fat gut and the muscles wasting away, having very little energy. I mean, I didn't feel manly, you know, I didn't feel the Andrew I'd been, because when I was younger, I was an athlete, so I related to, you know, fitness and health, and I'd been working, you know, in a hard career, and I'd let it slide. So at that point then, where I was training and I had time, the thing that I would be wanting to teach myself is that, you know, to really focus on the form. Back then I was overtraining. I was in the gym for like, you know, 2.5 hours, and you could see the bruises in my legs. I'd be doing, just throwing everything at it, and I wasn't really making good gains. I was fit, you know, I was riding my bike to and from work and the gym, but you know, I was so often, and I ended up getting a bursitis thing in my shoulder, and I got a steroid injection to deal with that, and so I was out of training for a while. So I was tough in a sense, and I was pushing myself, but I was stupid. I didn't have the knowledge to really stick to good form and to spend just long enough in the gym and come back, you know, frequently enough. And so that was really the main thing. And actually, to somehow, and I've got to say, I can't really put my finger on it, but you know, I must say now, I don't want to stop. This is a lifestyle thing. I'm never going to stop.
Yeah, bro.
You know, touch wood, I don't get hit by a car again. And, you know, as long as that doesn't happen, I'm going to just keep going. And I know that you can slow your aging. I turn 50 next week, and you know, I do train harder than most of the people in the gym. I try to go a progression, just that little bit next level harder in the right form. And so I'm wanting to, you know, like, I think when you're going for your 1 rep max, there's a little bit of like, you know, or your 3 rep, you know, there's a little bit of like, you've got to psych yourself into it. You're going up against yourself. The only competition that really matters is yourself. But to me, it's spiritual to come back and know that you have pushed yourself. You've done it sensibly so that you won't get injured, but you've gone just that little level further, and you can come back and you feel really good about yourself. What a great start to the day. And to keep progressing, it's like a lifestyle I want to live the rest of my days in. And so looking back then, it was like it was more like an addict. I was more like an addict. I'd throw myself at something, like really hard, and then I'd burn out and I'd get sick. I'd get sick, I'd get the flu, I'd overtrain, I'd get injured, and I would train hard, but I wasn't training smart. And so that's the main lesson for back then. And sure enough, what happened after pushing myself so hard, training 2.5 hours in that, wasn't sustainable. I mean, you don't have a lot of times in your life where you can, spend 2.5 hours in the gym, 4 or so days a week.
Yes.
So yeah, I've learned a bit from them, and most of it I've learned from you, Angus. So thank you. You brought it all together in one place at one time. And that's what makes the difference. Yeah.
Because for a lot of us, we we can be stuck in that sort of thinking, which is like, oh yeah, cool, well there's obviously going to come a perfect time where like everything's aligned and all that sort of stuff before I get serious about my goals. And for many of us, we can get stuck in the, oh yeah, I'll get serious tomorrow, or I'll wait till Monday, or all that sort of stuff. And I remember when I first connected with Andrew, one of the biggest things that I asked him was just like, why isn't where you are okay to just stay here anymore? And to really dig into what Andrew's drive was. And he convinced me that, well, he genuinely did believe he could become a better version of himself. He just wanted to learn how. And this is why coaching is so powerful, because if you combine strategies like nutrition, training, mindset, and stuff like that with someone who just wants to learn how, anyone can achieve results like Andrew. Now, mate, one last question I'd love to ask you is, for any of the guys that are listening that maybe haven't had coaching before, or who are maybe questioning whether it could be a good fit for them or whatever, why would you recommend they get in touch with me and join Barbells and Burgers to achieve the results like what you've got?
Yeah.
Why is it better?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'll use an analogy to start with.
Sure.
If you've got a house and there's let's say there's these 5 key foundations, and without one of them, it's just going to start sinking into the bog mire on one side and things will fall over and it won't sustain. It's like that. Angus has got the full package of the key foundations that matter. He throws away, things like, have this latest superfood junk where you're going to waste a whole lot of money. He throws away all the fluff, and maybe it will make a tiny little bit of icing on the cake difference, but he gives you the foundations that are going to work, and it's going to work for your lifetime. And brings them together in one place at one time. He believes in, that you can't manage what you don't measure, and getting real about it. Do what counts. Throw away all the bollocks that most people are doing. They're trying to sell you products and all sorts of other stuff, and just get in and set up a good routine. So you got to go in and you got to prepare, and then get a good routine, and then stick with it. And Angus does that. So, and I've got to say that for older men, probably the one most important thing they can do, once you get to your 50s and beyond, is definitely strength training. I mean, in your late 30s, you're starting to drop your human growth hormone and testosterone levels. It's stupid to be going and taking drugs to help when your body can do this naturally, and pick up this naturally through the exercise. The nutrition, the water, getting the right exercises in it works, and save yourself a lot of money. If you don't invest in coaching, unless you already know it all, you're going to miss one of those foundations. It's not going to hold together. You'll go part of the way, but you might pull out, or you won't get the results. It won't. You'll probably be like I was. You start, you go for a while, and then you pull out, and then you start again. And that's such a shame. It's not necessary. I mean, some of the injuries I had with crazy advice people gave me, an injury it took, this sort of bit of tendon. It took many years to heal. They were just giving me bad advice, and so there's a lot of trappings in this game of strength training. And as you get older, if strength training isn't part of your game and you're just doing stretching or you're out there running, you know, it's not gonna hold you for the rest of your life. Where this will hold you. It is the foundation. It is the centre. So Angus has got this down pat, and it's got to be part of your program. And so I've learned some good foundations from Angus. Thank you very much, and I'll take those with me and apply them the rest of my life. Thank you.
Oh, pleasure, mate. And power to you, because it's like the biggest thing here is that this is something that I live and breathe. Is like I love helping guys be able to develop a new way to see food, a new way to see exercise, and with knowledge to help free them from the system. And by the system, I mean the health and fitness industry that tells you to buy this, to cut out this, to be restrictive and stuff like that. And to, as you've experienced here, help you to kind of just spot what's bullshit quite easily and stick to the fundamentals so that you stop wasting time. And then naturally with this approach, I've got no issues whatsoever in terms of issues or doubt that you're going to be able to continue this on, to be able to just improve and continue to make gains going solo. So it's like, naturally if someone hasn't had coaching before or thinks they can just wing it, you could eventually get towards where you want to get to, but it's obviously a process of trial and error.
It'll take a lot longer.
Right. Yeah. And obviously with what Andrew's been able to achieve, mad shreds, gaining lots of muscle, all that sort of stuff. And this has been in a period of just over 6 months. So I'd encourage you, if you're listening, if you'd like to tune in with me for a chat or whatever, just, get in touch. Hopefully by you hearing from Andrew with what he's achieved, that it's inspired you to see what's possible through the right guidance and actually, being open to better education. So Andrew, my man, big props to you. You've absolutely crushed it. Thanks so much for coming on today and giving some insight into your time with me and just the results you've achieved. You've been an absolute weapon.
Thanks, Angus. And I think the best compliment you can give someone is that you adopt what they do. So if someone holds it with you, holds with them what they've learned, then that's the best compliment that I can give. And so thank you very much. It really is a pleasure to have all of these things come together in one place at one time that you probably will never get without a decent coach. And the chance upon the right stuff and leave out the bad stuff, you're just not going to get that out there in the health industry without a decent coach. And a lot of the coaches just don't cut it either. So Angus has not tried to take more money out of you with selling you a whole lot of other his own food products like a lot of these guys. And so he's being straight up, and he see food like all the rest of us do. Food is one of the great joys of life. Yeah, you don't need to throw that away. So thanks, Angus. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for including me in this here. All I did is I just went out and did the training that Angus gave me, and put my heart and soul into it. And if you believe that you can be consistent when you're making gains, one of the definitions of happiness or success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And there's nothing more important than your health. Nothing. And I can say, looking back, that my health has been really important to change it from where it is to where it is now. And I've got room to improve. It's not like, I've hit my peak now. I've been doing this for 6 months or something. So I'm looking forward to goals and milestones, and the way Angus is doing things where I'm going to try and beat my personal best at this. It's a pleasure. It's a great game to be in, and you've got to get into it. You've got to give it a go. Give Angus a call. Call him now. Call him now.
That's it.
Cheers.
You're on to it.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, mate. All the best, Andrew. Catch up.
Cheers. Thanks.
And boom, there we go. How awesome was that to be able to see the epic transformation that old mate Andrew has had. Someone who's about to turn 50, who now has the metabolism and body image and kind of rig of like a lot of people that are better than they were in their 20s. So good to see. And really hope you gained some epic insight and obviously inspiration as to just, well, how awesome and enjoyable the actual journey of fat loss and muscle building can be. You see, for Andrew, and also like myself in the past, you know, I used to actually think that to be able to get lean and to be able to get strong and whatever, you had to eat chicken, brown rice and broccoli, you must be hungry all the time, it must be full of restriction, and that's the path that Andrew tried and he didn't get anywhere. Also for me, I tried to walk that path and I didn't get anywhere for 3 years. So hopefully from you watching this video and this interview that I've had with Andrew where we've uncovered all this stuff, hopefully what it's done is it's opened your eyes to the fact that, well, things can be different, the journey can actually be fucking awesome, and there's nothing stopping you from being able to achieve equally, if not better, results than Andrew. So at the end, you would have heard him mention to get in touch with me for a chat, and I'd encourage you to do the same as well. So if you've watched this and you're inspired by Andrew's success and you want to see if Alpha Male Mastery could be a good match for you in terms of the online coaching program that was a good fit for Andrew, hey, might even potentially be a good fit for you. So what I'd love for you to do is to just scroll below, and all you're going to do is to, you'll see in the social links, you'll see that one will take you directly to having an application to be able to have a chat with me. And all this basically is just, well, you know, checking for some more info, deciding if it's for you or not. It'll take you to a questionnaire where you can also book in a chat with me. And yeah, we'll have a nice chat to strategically work out what's going to be the most sustainable way to be able to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be and ensure that you are free from the system forever and can maintain your results for the rest of your life. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you're a returning subscriber, make sure you give it a like. And yeah, let me know what you found valuable in the comments below. If you're new to Barbells and Burgers and you haven't yet checked out my content, make sure you subscribe. So that way you're obviously going to be amongst the action for all sorts of videos into the future. And make sure to follow me on my social links below. That's where you can check out Andrew's before and after photos and follow me personally with my own bodybuilding journey. And yeah, see you next time in the Barbells and Burgers YouTube world. Peace out.